Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Smart City Tech Week, which is an annual flagship tech event at Venturous Group. It's both online or offline. I am Benson Tam, founder and chairman of Venturous Group, China's leading Citytech group. While China has already become the world leader in smart city tech, according to the recent research reports, the total addressable market of smart city tech in China is about $4 trillion. It is an emerging market with over 800 cities in China upgrading to smart cities. As an investor, as well as entrepreneurs at Venturous Group, we are also an operator with deep tech. We hope we can enable cities to become smarter. So what we at Venturous Group aim at is to see this market opportunity and create better life for people living in the cities. So I hope that you will enjoy today's session about smart energy. We will have a keynote speech first, followed by a fireside chat of two other panelists. So without further ado, let me introduce today's keynote speaker, Mr. Liu. Welcome. Hi, Benson. Hi, everyone. Mr. Liu Bai Cheng is the chairman of Anjie IoT, an energy IoT company. Mr. Liu, please introduce yourself to the audience. Experts, friends, good afternoon. I am from Tianjin-based Anjie IoT Group. My name is Liu Bai Cheng. I'm really glad to have this opportunity to meet with you online and talk about smart energy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Liu. So let me introduce today's panelists. The first one is Mr. Liu Haixiong, who is the director of Green Building Data Research Center at ECADI. Mr. Lin, please introduce yourself. Hi, everyone. I'm from ECADI. My name is Lin Haixiong. You know, we have a lot of civil engineers at the institute, but we are also crossing over by setting up a big data center dedicated to construction data and its association with big data. So it's a connection between traditional industries and emerging industry, and we're hoping we can identify new value. We are committed to the dual carbon target and making our buildings greener. So I look forward to more discussions over today's session. Thank you, Mr. Liu. The next panelist is Mr. John Quan. John works at BSI. He is the China Regional Director of Strategy Development. So John, please introduce yourself. Hi, Benson. Everyone, good afternoon. I'm with BSI. My name is John Quan. BSI is the world's very first and largest standard institutions. We have formulated almost 70,000 international standards for international organizations and governments. So today's topic is dual carbon and smart energy. So we are the world's largest and most leading standard formulator in this regard. We also work with ISO on energy saving solution and standards. So I look forward to more brainstorming with all of you. So today's topic is smart energy, which is one of the hottest topics. When we talk about the energy field, we make sure that we stay focused on some of the most trending topics. China has proposed this dual carbon target. And there are great market opportunities in this field. So, Mr. Liu, please share with us what smart energy is and how it helps cities become smarter. The floor is all yours, Mr. Liu. Good afternoon. So my presentation is on smart energy and achieving this dual carbon future. There are 5 parts on my agenda. First, I will talk about our company, Anjie IoT. So Tianjin Anjie IoT is a company. Can you just go to the next page? Next one, please. Well, our company is committed to providing full lifecycle integrated energy solutions, smart operation and maintenance, as well as carbon asset management services for our customers. We have 4 core technologies. First is this proprietary Coral IoT mid-office tech. And we are the very first company in the world to come up with energy routers. The third core technology is Anjie IBMS system. And the fourth one is Anjie service support system. We serve over 1,500 clients with more than 3 million sensor stations. We help our users save more than 20% of their energy consumption and 20% plus operation and maintenance costs, and over 3 million man days per year. Help our clients reduce carbon emissions by millions of cubic tons. We help companies like Sinopharma, Volkswagen, and the fourth Asian Games. We help them to design energy saving solutions for their stadiums and other buildings. In 2001, Anjie's office building was also certified by the National Green Building Operation and Maintenance 3-star certification, which is quite rare. Well, actually, it's in 2021. We are among the very few companies that got certified. The government officials from the Ministry of Housing and Rural Urban Development spent days in our office. They realized that we are able to achieve energy saving by 60%. And BSI also gave us a carbon neutral certification. We have been able to save 69% of energy compared to buildings in other countries. We are also one of the very first BSI certified past 2016-2014 base standard carbon neutrality integrated solution provider. And this year, we also joined hands with China Science Association and academicians in China, as well as many institutes and universities and leading companies to set up this dual carbon tech promotion center. On the 7th of October, on the 3rd Beijing Development Forum, government officials from Beijing, Tianjin, and from CAS unveiled this dual carbon tech promotion center. The center is dedicated to providing technology to all sectors and training, as well as standard development to help China achieve the dual carbon or 30-60 on target. Next slide, please. So first, let me talk about what is smart energy. And our understanding is that we now serve over 1,500 clients. We are able to see in real time how they are using the energy, and with a big data analytical platform in the back, we can see their energy consumption, and we see a lot of waste in their system. So I think what smart energy can help address is to provide energy when needed, and to have the supply side generate the energy or power on demand. So we can have a more precise supply of energy. So in order to optimize our energy consumption. So when we choose between these different sources of smart energy, we should prioritize carbon emission free types of energy. Next slide, please. I think that plays an important role. So that begins with like clean energy, and then green energy, and low price energy. So the focus is on providing great user experience while achieving a balance of energy consumption and environmental protection. And we should make sure that we are able to predict the loads. For example, during peak hours, beginning from 7 a.m., you have a lot of people commuting on the metro. So people may feel really stuffed and hot on the metro. If you start cranking up the AC, people will feel even more stuffy on the metro, and you need to make sure that the heating is controlled and provided at the right time. And also, when it comes to the selection of energy, we should follow the order of price. So we deploy these valves and sensors in the energy system to precisely control the generation and transmission of energy. So that's what we mean by smart energy, with zero waste of energy. Next slide, please.
So now let's look at how smart energy works. It relies on many sensors installed throughout the buildings. And usually on the user side, we have to have meters to gauge the current, the voltage. And we also need energy meters, hygrometer, thermometer, barometer, flow meter, as well as hydraulic equipment. And all of these sensors capture data to send to an online platform to apply big data analytics. And based on the results, the generation side is going to be notified of the data, and that data is also going to inform the opening or closing of the valves, and that basically can make sure that we have a precision energy supply toward the customer in order to maximize energy saving. And now let's talk about the potential and outlook for smart energy. And of course, there is enormous potential. We basically provide solutions on 4 parts, which is source, grid, load, and storage. And we have diversified sources of generation such as solar, wind, soil, bio energy, all of which are renewable energy sources. And we also have different kinds of ESS energy storage systems. We pair these ESS with renewable generation projects in order to decrease carbon emission as much as possible. And here at Anjie IoT, we're basically focused on the building sector. And that is because buildings exist in every sector of the economy. And the buildings in China emit a total of 11 billion tons of carbon dioxide. But if you look at the industrial sector, they emit a total of 8.5 billion tons. Last month, I visited the carbon exchange in Shanghai and in Hubei. Both basically assured me of the accuracy of this industrial emission, which is 8.5 billion tons of the industrial sector. And that is why we decided to branch out into the industrial sector as well. We established a department for industrial solutions. And later on, I will talk about the measures we have taken in order to reduce industrial sector carbon emission. So when we talk about the industrial sector, we have some general purpose equipment such as HVAC and power systems, for which we already have very highly developed solutions. But this is not where the main challenges are found. For example, we have to look at the process level or the material level, material meaning the raw material as an input to the industrial sector. We haven't found even one example of an industrial sector company that has targeted the raw material and process in order to reduce emission. And since we have a Center for Excellence on carbon neutrality related technologies, we work with research institutions and universities in China and abroad on carbon emission related technologies. Last month, we started to team up with a large steelmaker in China. And they actually approached us last month. And we analyzed their need, and we worked with the Chinese Academy of Sciences and proposed 6 processes that they could consider, which are listed on this PowerPoint slide. That includes, for example, anti-oxidation coating for steel billets, purification technology, coking for crude phenol, etc. And this company actually only has heard of one of the 6 technology processes that we proposed, and they haven't even heard of the other 5. So I think that this shows a potential area for cooperation because we now know that on a process level and on a material level, there are measures that we can take to reduce carbon emission. And this is thanks to our Center for Excellence on carbon neutrality related technologies. through making that connection with the Chinese Academy of Sciences. And this is also one of our missions, which is to become a leading provider of carbon-related technologies. So basically, this is about building on our strengths in the building sector and to apply that to the industrial sector. Next page, please. And now let's talk about the TAM, the total addressable market for energy, for smart energy. And let's look at it from two perspectives, from power consumption perspective and natural gas consumption perspective. And both exceed trillions of yuan. And they are growing on average at 5% per year. So basically, if we are to reach the goal of carbon peaking by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060, we are actually going to see power consumption throughout this period, all the way through 2060, even though it means that between 2030 and between 2030 and 2060, we're going to see increase in power consumption, but not carbon consumption. So basically, that would entail retrofitting O&M of equipment. And please, next page. And we think that smart energy is going to have at least a trillion yuan market, given the technology demand we have to have in order to reach the carbon peaking and neutrality goals. And if we talk about the entire energy cycle, we have to focus on four aspects, which is generation, grid, load, and storage, in order to minimize emission throughout the supply chain. So at the source or at the generation side, we have to maximize the use of clean energy. And at the grid end, we have to monitor the types of energy transmitted. And on the load level, we have to anticipate or predict the power load. And that information needs to be fed into the generation side with in advance, so that we will be able to ensure the precision supply. And as for storage, there has been a plethora of new technologies. Storage is not just about saving energy, but it is also about peak shaving, because we have peak prices and valley prices when it comes to power pricing. And if we can somehow store electricity when the prices are very low, then we can utilize that when the prices are high, and therefore saving and therefore leading to economic benefits on top of saving the on top of saving energy. And that is basically what a highly efficient energy internet is about. And now I would like to talk about the energy services we offer at Anjie IoT. We have four core technologies, first of which is the Coral IoT operating system. And this is basically a tool-based platform that collects data from the sensors and applies big data analytics. And it allows for the following. First of all, it ensures the safety of the equipment, because well, we have many sensors installed. When the temperature goes up, we are going to see changes in currents, in voltages, in noise level, etc. And when we see a change in these sensors, we know that something has gone awry. And we have to be able to, and then we can collect the data in order to do predictive MNO. We also have insurance policies with Ping An, one of the largest providers in China, to protect these equipment. And from 2013 to now, we haven't had any insurance claims based on damaged equipment. And that shows you how smart our sensor-enabled Coral IoT OS is. Also, Coral IoT OS is about reducing energy consumption. In some cases, it can reduce energy consumption by between 15 to 25%. Also, it replaces human intervention with technology-driven equipment management. So that basically brings down management cost for the user. The fourth benefit of this Coral OS operating system is about bringing about an excellent user experience. And also with big data, we have seen that Anjie technology allows for at least 20% in HVAC related systems. Let me give you a concrete example. We had the national games in Tianjin, and we were the one in charge of installing and managing the power system. And we saved close to 150 million kilowatt hours in power consumption. Next page, please. And our second core technology is the energy router. There are two technologies involved. First of all, it is about precision balancing between energy supply and demand. And I'd like to delve into a bit more detail. We have over 1,500 users, and we collected data to conduct big data analysis. And we have seen a lot of energy waste. For example, one office building in summertime, when it's at peak energy usage, they are actually only at 30% of the design load. And some of them do not even use 20% of the system capacity. So that would mean that a lot of the investment is going to waste. And if we look at HVAC system, and the energy, the power required was about 100 watt per meter squared for heating, and 120 watt per meter squared for cooling. But we are increasingly realizing that this standard allows for too much waste. And let me share with you some example, some data. We allow for 39 watt per meter squared for cooling. And if you have an opportunity to visit our headquarters, you will see how our building is basically consistent in temperature and humidity all year round without centralized heating or AC system. We designed the system to only require 39 watts per meter squared for cooling, and we are actually only using 34. And for heating, the per square output power, it's 65. Actually, the actual usage is actually only 57. But if we are to design to the older national standard to 120 watt per meter squared, the amount of investment needed would have doubled. And third, in terms of smart choice of energy sources, we prioritize affordable and renewable sources of energy with low marginal cost. And at the Anjie headquarters for heating, we use soil energy, geothermal, and then solar thermal energy. So basically, between these types of sources, we can already fulfill all of our heating requirements. And only in times of dire need do we use stored heat.
So the breakfast starts at 7, and lunch starts at 12:30. We will start providing the power or electricity at 7 o'clock sharp, and we'll make sure that we won't have any waste in the power supply, and make sure that we turn on and off our electricity in a very smart way. So next slide, please. Another core technology that we have is this service support system. This is for your offline staff management. It's like a cab hailing type of service. So for our clients, they can just install the Coral app, and they can also install our service support system. So on a daily basis, they will see the current state of their equipment or devices, as well as cleaning and other types of repair maintenance tasks, and the whereabouts of your staff on the ground, and the completion of the tasks. And the whole process is monitored and recorded. So the users will have full visibility into the information, and they can also rate our service. We're not just using this product internally, we are selling these solutions to our clients as well. So the fourth core technology is this new generation IBMS smart monitoring system. I attended 2 annual meetings. One is the Chinese Academy of Architecture, which organized this China building white paper release meeting. And the other is BMW's meeting in Shanghai. And they both released their reports on building management systems. Well, before the systems were sourced from Schneider or other foreign brands. But now, only 1 to 2% of these buildings still find the existing legacy management system working for them. And now the IBMS system is a better option. So that's why we launched IBMS Smart Building Management System. So the system will make sure that your hardware and software are running at the most optimal conditions. And this system is also machine learning enabled. You can analyze it, you can predict it, you can make decisions based on it. So we own our own IP rights of our IBMS system. Next slide, please. The fifth core technology is the founding of China Dual Carbon Tech Promotion Center. Universities like Tsinghua University, Tongji University, as well as organizations such as China City Planning Institute, China Standardization Association and companies like Huawei, Xiaomi, Haier, Meidi have become members of this promotion center. So we will provide implementation trainings to these members and help them set up standards to play our part in achieving the dual carbon targets. So ever since its inception, we have seen some great results already. Like the day before yesterday, I was in Haikou City attending another annual meeting of the Restaurant Association of China. So together with the association, we signed a strategic partnership agreement. And we have set some very well-defined targets for carbon emission reduction for the restaurant business in China. And I believe our panelists, as well as investors or audience, experts from the restaurant business, if you're interested, you can join us and to provide trainings to this industry for carbon emission reduction. We also work with other industrial associations for the railway, for other types of sectors. They have approached us for training support. Next month, we have another training session at CAS. It is a government agency underneath CAS. So they will bring 113 latest technologies from CAS, and they will incorporate that into a PowerPoint deck and to share with participants from different sectors. So these are the ongoing support we're going to have for innovation. Next slide, please. Last but not the least, I want to emphasize Anjie's mission, which is to become an innovation engine for effective utilization of resources, enabling every building in China to stay at the most optimal state and to become a key technology company for China's national security, national energy security, and to provide the solutions for sustainable development of cities and government parks. Thank you for listening. That was an excellent presentation, Mr. Liu. So I have focused on two keywords in your presentation. One is what you mentioned earlier before is this energy operation, and the other is national energy security, both of which are great tasks. So let's first talk about energy operation. You talk about this being the future for Anjie. So in English, it should be better translated as EUM, energy under management. So I think what we aim at is something even bigger than energy under management. So in terms of energy saving, ever since 2015, China has been promoting EMC model, which hasn't proven to be very effective without the support of data. So with the Coral system and the sensors and all the data analytics, when the EMC model fails due to the unrecognition on the owner side, even if it doesn't cost too much, the owners feel like that those who are operating on the owner's behalf are just making too much money out of it. But we take a different approach at Anjie. So we have helped with the national sports team who were training in Tianjin. We help them to operate their properties and to save energy consumption by 5%. That means about 1.5 million RMB in cost saving. Or we can help them save 10% without costing them any money. So in total, we help them save over 2 million RMB. So everyone likes that. So how do we do that? We install many sensors, and with AI-enabled routers and Coral system. Without these support, your energy consumption will rise. So in addition to this cost saving of 2 million RMB, we also need to make profits. We need to survive. We want to create a win-win situation for us and for our clients. So this EUM concept, if it is recognized by everyone, so these current 1,500 clients that we serve are paying over 10 billion RMB in tariff or in electricity. So if they adopt this EUM model from Anjie and use our service, so they will save a lot of cost. We think we will play an increasingly bigger role in energy saving for different sectors. So simply put, after years of experience with so many clients, and you never had one insurance claim, that's why you are confident in being this general contractor of their energy saving projects, and then share the proceeds with your clients, right? Yes. So for the clients, they feel like they don't need to put in any capital upfront, and we are paid based on performance. That's why our Venturous group is also very excited about this EUM model, just like you. Another topic, the second topic for today's discussion, I will invite our two panelists to join us. So the second topic is the national energy security. Mr. Lin and John, my question is, China's energy security. Mr. Liu and I are very excited about this. China is still an oil importer and coal importer, right, Mr. Liu? So that means if we can help the country save 1/6 or 1/3 of energy, we will significantly reduce our reliance on imports.
And that would be a big contribution towards the country in terms of national security, national energy security, and also strategic energy storage. I think that is an exciting point, and I'd like to include Mr. Lin and Mr. Quan on the conversation. given the importance of carbon neutrality goal for China. So how about we turn it over to Mr. Lin first? What is your take on this issue? Well, thank you. We learned a lot from Mr. Liu's presentation, and it is very exciting. As you mentioned about energy security, I know that is a big topic. I will try to say a few words. I think Mr. Liu gave a very good presentation. In the beginning, we talked about how using green energy is about reducing energy consumption. But I think the carbon peaking and carbon neutrality goals are about a different matter, which is national energy security, because we have this dependency on oil and coal. We do not have a whole lot of natural gas. Well, we basically depend heavily on oil and gas imports. Basically, we we do not have control over the fuel of our economy. So basically, we have to adjust our energy mix. We have to make sure that we develop enough renewable sources within our national territories. And if we look at hydrogen or nuclear energies, we have to start from an energy security point of view. The idea behind this goal is about reducing our dependency on imported energy. But there's more than that. We have to change our industrial structure. So we have basically hit against a bottleneck with our usual way of development. As we try to substitute traditional sources of energy with renewable energy, this is not just about adding solar or wind capacity. This is about changing the entire power system that includes generation, grid, storage, and load. It is about basically digitalizing and making the entire power supply chain smart, and that would involve much wider industrial changes. And this is why we are seeing recent initiatives such as ultra high voltage transmission. Well, ultra high voltage transmission, UVH, is about taking the electricity generated mainly in Western China to Eastern China, where the load center is. And another example is the recent initiative with the charging piles. This is about having realized that we cannot satisfy growing demand for mobility with just ICE, well, internal combustion engine vehicles. This is about electrifying our fleet and encouraging electric vehicles in the form of cars, trucks, and even high-speed trains. There's more to electrification. We are also looking at hydrogen fuel vehicles. And this is because we can use the electricity produced by wind and solar and convert those into hydrogen energy. And this basically offsets the intermittency problem that we have with all renewables. That is why we are seeing these initiatives such as charging piles, UHV, etc. All of these are related to this carbon neutrality goal. So it looks like it's a grand campaign to reduce energy consumption, but it's actually about changing the entire energy system and about changing the entire industrial system. So to sum up, basically to grow our economy, to grow our country, we have to reach this goal. And we also have to decouple GDP growth with energy consumption, basically. Great. Thank you, Mr. Lin. You're talking about the reform of energy structure. And we're also seeing at the same time economic restructuring. And when we mention energy, we cannot go about mentioning computing. We are seeing legislative changes as regards computing. And I think this is the exciting part. China is probably the only country in the world with such vision about preparing us for a new economic paradigm for the next 50 years or even 100 years. So I'd like to hear Mr. Quan's take on this concept of energy security. Thank you, Benson, and thank you, Mr. Liu and Mr. Lin. My thoughts are similar, and I agree with a lot of what Mr. Lin has said. So we have seen the national commitment to carbon peaking and carbon neutrality. This is not just about sustainable development, but also about a greater economic change. We have seen supply side reform underway for many years. Well, as you may know, the double carbon goals is about reaching carbon peak by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060. And this is not going to be achieved unless we do thorough supply side reforms. During the, while we are using we're dipping into our strategic oil reserves, and this just shows you the urgent need for energy security. So with the technology progress, we are going to be able to arrive at a better place for energy security. And as part of this supply side reform, we need committed companies like Anjie IoT to reduce energy consumption building by building in order to achieve carbon neutrality on a macro scale. So I think it's very significant and meaningful what Anjie is doing. I think that what it's doing to support companies to adopt new technologies to reduce energy consumption is a great way to contribute towards our national goal of carbon neutrality. So I know that Mr. Liu and Mr. Lin already covered many points, and I just try to repeat as little as possible. Great. Mr. Lin, it seems like you wanted to talk about energy hosting because that is a big opportunity for Anjie as well. Could you please elaborate? Yes. So I come from ECADI, Eastern China Architecture Design Institute. And I will just try to comment as much as I can. We have these concepts called energy hosting and energy governance. But what Anjie is doing in terms of energy hosting is completely different than what we have seen before. In the past, energy hosting is just about having the best equipment, having the best engineers to have your building run optimally. But Anjie is doing something completely different. Anjie relies on data. And I have visited Anjie headquarters a few times, so I can speak from firsthand knowledge. There are three fundamental differences than the other types of energy hosting services. First of all, Anjie system anticipates heat and cold load of the building with 8 to 72 hours in advance. That means that you know how much heating or cooling is needed for the building up to 3 days in advance. You have demand curve prediction, and that is extremely important for energy hosting. Coming from an architectural perspective like mine, in order to know this, you have to have intimate knowledge of the construction materials, the types of glass used, the walls, the facade, everything. And Anjie provides real-time data through its sensors. And this shows a very high level of sophistication. Anjie relies on LSTM and neural network that integrates deep learning. It takes historical data as well as real-time data collected through its sensors installed throughout the buildings. And this is how it anticipates the heating and cooling loads, and that is completely different than what we have seen before. Anjie basically relies on this artificial intelligence to predict the amount of energy used. And while the algorithm for each building is refined based on its historical data, and the model is designed to be able to be customized to each building. And second, based on this system that can predict out to 72 hours in advance, you will be able to have enough time to connect to the heat pumps or the other energy system. Well, in here, cooling and heating storage works a little different than power storage because it takes more time. And it is with this amount of advance and precise prediction of Anjie that makes this programming really possible. Mr. Lin, I would just like to add something since you talked about energy supply and demand. Are we seeing the birth of a new energy market? Well, in the market, you have energy producers and consumers. We are just doing a prediction on the consumption side. In the past, we had command and control economies and command and control power generation, and we all knew how that went. And basically, what Anjie is doing is about predicting how much cooling and heating is needed exactly with 24 to 70 hours in advance in terms of consumption. So that already takes care of one side of the market. And I think that operating logic is disruptive and revolutionary on its own. And also, you have to have an intimate knowledge of the performance of heat pumps, cold storage systems, etc. In the past, this information came from manufacturers, but this wouldn't work now because you can probably get reliable information in the beginning when your equipment is new. But a few years down the road, based on the intensity of use and based on the microenvironment of your building, the performance may be wildly different than what the product description indicated. And what Anjie is doing is basically to use data vector to monitor that. Well, Mr. Lin, I don't want to cut you short, but we're running out of time. I just wanted to know if you have some last words for Mr. Liu or Mr. Quan. Well, first of all, I think Anjie is on the right track. because we have aligned our corporate mission with the national goals and also the planetary mission, which is to reduce energy consumption and emission, or what our president calls community of shared future. We see some US-China tensions, but we saw US and China reaching groundbreaking climate deals because it's very important for humanity as a whole.
So we aim to really help our clients to adopt a science-based approach and reduce their costs and improve their experience and to make their equipment safer. That is our mission. So in addition to keep innovating and researching, we also need to work with high caliber universities, companies, and experts to achieve this target. So China can realize this carbon peaking and carbon neutrality targets. I totally agree with you, Mr. Liu. So let's just join hands to work towards that targets between Venturous Group and ECADI, as well as BSI, and of course, Anjie Group. Let's not forget, we now face global warming. I often tell myself that I'm doing this for my daughter and for your daughters and sons, for the next generation, to make sure that they won't live in a cold or super hot planet. That's why I think it's necessary that we do this and do it well. And this is the mission of Venturous Group. And with that, I'd like to wrap up this session, even if we still have many things we want to cover. So we talked about the 4 core technologies at Anjie Group. And in the past 4 days, we talked about smart computing, smart cities, and smart buildings. And today we talked about smart energy. And tomorrow we are going to talk about money. And how we can do our part and to make ESG-based investment. With our understanding of smart computing, smart cities, smart buildings, and smart energy to bring value and return for the investors, and to help China build this shared community of destiny. So we'll see you here again at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Stay tuned. Bye. Thanks, everyone.